Welcome back to Book of Dawn, IOTH Academy. The tea is hot, and our heroes have just left behind an extremely awkward conversation in the holy city of Brontha. Having shut the door on both Inaros and Pevon and Master Elnao, leaving them to do whatever they choose to do with their time, our heroes find themselves as alone as one can be within the high palace of Brontha. Which isn't that alone, but, you know, you can get a little bit of privacy if you want. Where you go? What you doing?
Is there anywhere private or privater, Garnet? That
Well,
you
it
know
sounds
of?
like whatever we talk about, no one seems to hear.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter then.
I guess they weren't joking when they said that it would just become unconveyable.
We can talk in messages, just to be sure, but yeah, that was a lot.
I don't even know how to. It doesn't seem like there's much more to do about it, right? It just kind of is, unless you add more thoughts on it.
This opening that the spy master seems to have found, the machine print said that we'd find a way to strike first.
Yeah, it was definitely the Machine Prince's doing. Whatever this information is, considering it was literally since we got here. It works fast. Change the design for us.
I'm beginning to feel like the design has some leeway so long as it actually ends the way that it's supposed to.
Yeah. I think so too.
And from what we can decipher here, it seems like the design overall, the end goal is the destruction or banishment of Seosh, so the cycle continues.
Mm-hmm.
Am I reading this wrong?
I think you're, at least from what I understood, reading it correctly. And I mean, I guess stopping Infernals from having too much of their way with the world, it seemed like, but that was a lesser priority objective.
And a less compassionate objective. Definitely didn't tone down the arseholery for that particular cover story. What do you think, Garnet? You've got more reason to hate them than any of us.
I mean, I don't really know what to say about what we saw and what we've learned, but I am having trouble coming to terms with, I guess, why I'm needed in this design and why my dad had to die to make that all a reality, and I just feel like it's all my fault at the end. And how did Bronthans who wish to preserve the cycle have to die to maintain it? Just doesn't all make sense to me.
It's not your fault, Garnet. No matter what, there's no choice that you made. You were just born. Machine Prince saw you and said, okay, this is going to be the person to do all these things with whatever their design is. That's not your fault.
Well,
No,
I don't think
feel
the
like you have
Machine
to
Prince
take...
even chose her. Zaylar marked her.
Yeah, I suppose.
That's what made her the most viable target.
But why not corrupt the priest king, or my dad, or anyone more powerful?
I guess it was easier to get you under Myrick. Because, like, the Priest King probably had... Sorry, Mantra. Probably had a lot more of a no offense, concrete personality. You were a kid. A lot more easily molded towards their designs.
And perhaps has something to do with the people that you would come to interact with. Perhaps those connections were important to him for some reason.
Yeah.
And the Priest King wouldn't come to the Academy. Too old. And probably too powerful. No offense.
Well, thanks. But it's been hard to even look at my mom knowing this information and not being able to tell her. And we've all grown to hate the Machine Prince, and him being my target all my life. Been just training just to be strong enough to kill him and get this revenge. And turns out he's the one we should be allied with to take down Seosh, to take down any Infernals. But how can I comply with that when he's taken everything from me, and I'm the one who has to give and serve him? Does it make sense?
You can play a long game just like he did. Once Seosh is defeated, once you've been able to find the power to do that, what would stop you from taking out the target of the Machine Prince as well as the Machine Prince? After Seosh is gone, we'll all have choices to make. And weighing over the timeline what's been done in the name of becoming an inside man. I'm sure some justice could be meted out.
Does it matter, Garnet, if Machine Prince is accepting of you killing him as opposed to trying to actively fight you? Because it seemed like he was very willing to die at the end of it all.
I mean, what if us lying to everyone is just separating us from the people that could help kill the Machine Prince? But I feels like this is what I have to do, both to cure the void corruption and help the Machine Prince with his goals of taking care of Seosh. I would never think I would have to ally myself with him to deal with Seosh. Stupid.
I think it's important for us to collectively decide that this isn't lying to everyone. This is the three of us ensuring that the serpent can never know. It's not about lying and keeping everyone in the dark. It's about making sure that one particular monstrous evil will not know until it's too late.
I agree.
Doesn't this feel like manipulation? The fact that he trusts these kids with the most important information in the world and couldn't share this with people that could help us, like Master Elnao or anyone, and also lock up this knowledge in the same way?
It's definitely manipulation. There's no getting around that, but I guess for as many secrets we uncovered, there's still a lot of questions. I don't know why still that it really had to be us and it couldn't be anyone else.
My level for incredulity has been shattered. We are 3 teenagers, and at least 2 of us have watched 2 gods die. Mostly by our own hand. I think the time where we can say that we're just kids is, for better or worse, far behind us. We've become inextricably tangled in the forces of this world, far bigger than us, than our parents, than even the cities we come from.
And that's what prompted that meeting in the first place. We already knew too much, so I suppose it was just kind of doubling down from the Machine Prince's perspective. Tell us more, not allow us to say anything. doesn't matter at that point. We're already kind of in too deep, as it were.
As much as I didn't want anyone else to mess with any kind of memories, I sort of wish I never learned about all of this. I feel like this has made everything more complicated and horrible.
Well, it allows you and all of us to still help, right? In the ways that we wanted to. Make things better.
Yeah. Seems like whatever we do, we're always playing in their hand, into their hand, exactly what they want us to do. We're always doing it. Kind of tired of being a puppet for anyone, scribe or not.
Guess you'd have to become a god then to really avoid that one.
Kind of like flexes. She's like, I'm on my way. On my way.
You are very strong.
Hey, well, you were a dragon, so you kind of beat all of us at that.
I mean, that's just some magical potion. I
I reckon
mean,
they've got one that turns Bronthans into Phoenixes.
they might.
Should ask about that.
I mean, I think it would be a good draw card to have. Don't know if we've got one that turns me into a weird squid monster, but I'll ask.
Oh yeah, because we're all aware of the whole mind flare. Were we there for the whole mind flare?
You guys
reveal
saw
thing?
him.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
We haven't really talked about that. So,
Yeah, you all saw Uncle.
yo, Athalor, your uncle is a. What is he? What is that?
I think the word that I've seen in books is that seems closest is a mutation, a change from what he once was. He was once a dawn elf like myself, like my father, and now he's not. But seems to have maintained at least for personality, at least partially. I think of it as a longer term version of what you do when you go really scary mode.
Is this contagious? Like, are you going to mutate as well?
Don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I mean, they were hundreds of years older than me when this happened. If this was going to be some kind of time-based change, it's probably more than a century away. But for what it's worth, I don't feel very tentacly.
I'd never heard of or seen anything related to that kind of mutation or creature. Nothing at the academy, I don't think. Have either of you stumbled across anything ever?
Nothing.
Magical entity advantage check?
No
Or
written
it's not-
knowledge exists.
Shit.
This is the first.
Is vamping on mutation okay?
Absolutely. Like when
I'm
you
not
were
saying
saying,
that
I
that's
think
a
the
fact,
word for
that's a
this was,
theory.
I was like, don't say illithid, don't say illithid, you don't know that. You said mutation. I was like, yes, perfect, excellent, go on.
I wonder if this is. Remember when they said you were woe to the world? Is that because you'll turn into that?
Oh.
Maybe?
Maybe.
Hmm.
If that's
Should
the
we
case,
have a
I'm glad
safe
that I'd be
word?
killed by my friends.
Do you want a safe word so if you feel tentacly, we can take you out?
Or some
With
kind
honor?
of thing to stop it preemptively.
That too.
Since we're already here to...
I prefer Mantra's option.
Well, since we haven't even heard of this mutation of which you speak of, a cure didn't seem very
Of all
possible.
of us who have friends in our head, yours is the one that's currently threatening the entirety of existence, okay? My one's a bit more of a back burner threat.
At least I know what my mutation is. You don't. There's nothing to fix yours.
I mean, apart from apparently murder.
Well, murder does solve a lot of problems.
Apparently.
Yes. We're still alive and mostly happy, aren't we?
Munch, you got any deep dark world ending secrets you'd like to share with the group?
Thankfully, not. That sounds rather stressful. And
It is.
we're already stressed
Thank you for
enough.
understanding. Thank you
Mhm.
for recognizing that. I feel very validated.
Yeah, it's difficult. Definitely.
Wonder if the owl's gonna be done soon. Seen an owl. Oh, I probably have actually, but
You have, yes, you have seen owls.
yeah.
They deliver all the mail.
Went
Old
to
school.
IOTH Academy from owl letter.
If you're done here, we can go ahead and proceed with owl business.
So anyone else has some?
Yeah, let's proceed with the owl business before Lemon and I have to leave for owl business.
It's in an hour and 10 minutes. We're chilling.
You had to go for it though. Like you can't miss that shot. Like I get it.
Oh, I got it. God damn it.
We got there. We got
Ladies
there.
and gentlemen, an employed cast.
I get paid to think.
Oh man. All right. So, Inaros actually comes to find you. When he does see you, he stands at the end of a corridor, makes himself known, doesn't say anything, and waits politely out of earshot.
Vivom 2.0 is here.
Did you not call him that?
Okay,
What's wrong with the original?
nothing. That's why it's 2.0 rather than the original being like Vivom 0.5.
Is
'cause
Ovam and Naros 2.0 then? Are we flipping it?
Just because he's tall and has long, beautiful silver hair and these
Dresses
gazing
well.
eyes and dresses well and is lovely to speak to and has a very safe, comforting arm and
Do you reckon he could teach you how to ride that horse properly? Because I also want to learn how to ride a horse.
I'm not gonna anyway, no. Hey, what's up?
When signaled, he'll go ahead and approach and give each of you an indication and say, the high priest has sent word. If we could speak off to the side. And he'll take you off to the side and shut a door, assuming that's all fine. All three of you. Tycharis, the treasurer, has proposed a solution. However, it would only help in part. Apparently, Tycharis has knowledge of this sort of affliction from past Sphinx knowledge, I guess. I wouldn't pretend to understand. And this is not something that can be eradicated through one simple casting or potion or scroll or anything of the means. However, Tycharis could supply this restoration magic in physical item form. No questions asked. In return, he would ask for something unique. Preferably with some item having to do with all this void magic.
Why does this person think we have that?
Where would we get void magic?
It didn't.
Sorry. Such a bad line.
He didn't elaborate. I assume you'd be free to counteroffer. But that is as it stands. Spitamana has something far more involved in mind. Something that could hope to completely resolve this problem, but would not be willing to do it sight unsaid or sight unseen. This is a spiritual matter, and Spitamana would not want to conduct this without knowing more about the participant, about the patient. He is willing to meet you face to face. Dakaris is willing to work through intermediaries.
What do we think?
It depends how much the patient needs to know. And it sounds like what the Sphinx is offering is going to be fairly similar to the charms the sage gave us to protect our dreams. Some kind of wearable protective magics. Whereas for the diplomat, something that might be a more permanent solution, but also would require getting around the patient problem. And I don't know if we can exert as much influence on the patient at this moment.
What do you want, Garnet? A more permanent solution, or?
Oh, gnomes. Elna's an elf, which means she's immune to charm, or is she half elf and
Immune
half
to sleep.
Immune to sleep, resistant to charm.
Are they still resistant while asleep? Asking for a friend?
They don't sleep.
They don't sleep.
Oh, well, while they're trancing and like... Ooh.
Yes, they're still resistant.
I was thinking, I guess the only option is to tell her about it and get some kind of consent. And if she does fight back, which I'm assuming she will, I was thinking I could just simply make her consume the potion, the item that it would, that our option be.
Perhaps one than the other.
Yeah.
The more temporary fix from the Sphinx brings her to a level where we can more effectively appeal to her and use that to take her to the diplomat and get a more permanent fix.
Spitamana is willing to meet with you in confidence to discuss further. Tycharis understands this to be a third-party arrangement and assumes that you want to minimize contact and the exchange of knowledge.
All right, DM question. I might be stupid. So the temporary thing is the potion and the permanent thing is like a ritual?
Tycharis is offering you items that can partially reduce void corruption. These items do not require a willing target. However, they only partially reduce it, and it's a trade. You offer Tycharis something, Tycharis says, yeah, I'll give you this many cleansing
Is it a potion or an item?
Tycharis is not specified, but they are disposable items. It's not a long-term protective charm. It's like each one of these can remove a point of void corruption, sort of thing. Willing to, again, trade for, would love some void magic items, but anything unique. And Tycharis doesn't, like, use this stuff, right? Tycharis isn't going to start going void happy. But would like to have them in his collection.
And Spitana can do like an actual ritual or something more involved.
Yes. Spitamana, as a priest of the light domain, a priest of Zalar, is offering a much more in-depth, long-term solution. An actual cure.
Okay, I have an item for Tycharis, unless anyone else has ideas.
I liked Athalor's idea, actually. The
Yeah, like the
Tycharis
trade.
first, and then, yeah, to get some points. I mean, we don't need to trade that much or get that many, just enough towards maybe Elnao would be a bit more, I don't know, influenced, maybe willing to be, or maybe so she can empathize a bit more with your concern. I think the concerns you do have for her are really valid.
Yeah. All right, Inaris, if you could arrange us a room with Tycharis and we'll get our item ready.
Of course,
We'll
and
meet
you
them face
do.
to face, it seems.
You're welcome to. Tycharis was willing to avoid that entire process. If you want to remain completely anonymous.
I mean,
Is it a kind of thing to us like we shouldn't be seen going to where Tycharis is, do you think?
There's nothing.
I guess you could deliver the item.
Conversely, I think there's value to the inner circle of Brontha seeing the Blessed Child work to root out corruption.
That was going to be my fallback plan if things did get out. But the
Well,
headmistress, being corrupted would not also sit well, probably.
Temporarily.
Yeah.
Your Highness, there is the matter of the execution of the traitors that occurred last time you were here.
Yeah. What of it?
Well, your cause and actions were obviously righteous. The exact nature of the power you wielded to enact that justice has led to some questions. Nothing I would call an imminent threat. But Athalor is wise to say that visibly rooting out corruption in some way could benefit you in the long run. Whether you choose to pursue that now, I have full faith in your wisdom.
And you've allowed people to speak of their doubts and ill will of me behind my back?
Of course not. None would dare say such things in my presence. Those who are cowards, wait until I'm gone.
Well, any traitors of mine are traitors to Brontha, so please report these to my mother. But I will do as suggested and appear to be rooting out evil.
You are rooting out evil for the...
Well, I wouldn't say the void magic is evil, but if they see it this way, then... So we should do a trade in person then? Is that what's the idea is, or...?
If you have something for Tycharis, I am happy to bring that exchange. If you wish to speak with Spitamana in person as well, that may be to your benefit. It would be fully up to you what you choose to disclose. But if you're looking for a fast solution, tell me what to tell the Sphinx about your offering, and I'm happy to go as the in-between.
Sounds
That
like a
was
good
big
idea
and
to meet
fast.
in person.
Maybe we can have Inaros deliver the item so Tycharis doesn't know the source of it, but being front-facing with Spitamana about the ritual and whatnot has good intentions.
Insightful.
All right, well, I just need a minute to prepare the item. Could excuse me, Inaros.
He'll bow and give you your space, walking down and standing guard at the end of the hall.
Guess we'll just go into some room. It's private.
There's plenty available.
And she's gonna take out the inky book of mirror magic
Ooh.
and I guess ask the party if they have anything to spice this up, but she's gonna take void ink and just kind of write random void words on top of the blackened pages so that
Are you-
basically you can't really read it, but
Okay,
it has
okay,
void
okay.
vibes to it. Maybe like write big old void like at the front of the fucking book or something.
Void book.
Void. This is a void book. Void dictionary for void.
Void for dummies.
Yeah, basically. else?
I don't have that many valuable items. I guess this ironstone, but that was a parting gift from Ariana. If I remember correctly, out of character.
Inaria said that this Sphinx shouldn't be collecting these kinds of things. Void items. Things touched by Infernals, but evidently there's a lot of desire there. If we need to barter, that Infernal Knight's sword I have under the floorboards is probably worth quite a bit of them.
But anyone having infernal items is probably going to cause a lot more alarm.
It would have to be very discreet.
Apparently Tycharis is willing to be that discreet.
I'm curious to what Tycharis knows even about void magic. So I'm almost reconsidering meeting them in person, giving them the fake book, and seeing their reaction. If they can deduce that this is not a real void book, then they know a lot more about void magic than just being a random collector.
And you were looking for other practitioners?
Well, Teosh did say there's other void users. Not that I would think Tycharis could be, but
I think that's a sound plan, actually. If they can
Not,
identify a fake, then they know enough about a real to at least be on your maybe list.
not that I know if this is the case, but I kind of assume them to be able to figure it out. I mean, they have enough knowledge to, I mean, not cure void corruption, but to minimize it. That kind of implies an understanding to a large degree than one might think.
I may just understand what the item does, like through an identify spell, or I don't know, through studying, but I don't know. But also, if they know that it's a fake, they would know that this is a mirror magic book and would then dabble in mirror magic / infernal stuff. So, like, whatever we find out, deduce a lot of what their knowledge is and have some more questions towards them and maybe some sort of leverage above them if to pressure them to keep this a secret.
If they figure out that it's a fake, are you going to be like, oh no, you caught me, or be like, oh, I didn't know? What angle is your approach going to be there?
Well, I usually go for the G and gaslight. And
That's pretty true.
how do you know? Where did you come to get this information from?
I'm just worried that if they think that we're trying to deceive them from the get-go, they would be it'd be a lot more costly afterwards.
You dare call the blessed
haven't-
child a liar?
I have a potential alternate trade. I don't know if it's at all related, but Athalor reaches into his pack and pulls out a small hunting horn that was generated by an act of God when we were fighting Mirek. So it was generated in the Silent City, and holds it out to Garnet to potentially identify if it is at all like void touch or related to that.
So we'll look at it.
This was, well, it came to me somehow while you were in the book. It was part of the way we tried to call to you to bring you back. But it's an objective for Silent City. So there's a
Well, I
chance
wouldn't want to
that
give this
maybe-
up. We still have Alex in the void, and what if this falls into the hands of... What if Tycharis just uses this and calls out to Alex by accident?
I don't know what it does. I mean, when I say we used it to reach out to you, I literally put it in your ear.
Oh,
I physically
So-
put it into your ear.
you blew out my eardrum?
I mean, it was a lesser of two. You were being consumed by an inky void.
Yeah.
So you're saying this isn't just a horn of calling someone from the void? This is just a loud horn?
I don't know. It was generated within the Silent City and has touched the void goo that consumed you temporarily.
If only someone had an identify spell. Oh yeah, I do actually. I thought I got rid of it. I got rid of comprehend languages. So I actually do. Oh wait, I actually do.
I also have identify. I just never bothered to use it.
Does it matter like who uses it in terms of if someone with void knowledge uses it or someone just has used the item? Is there a difference?
It should tell you the properties of the item regardless, but the specifics of what you're able to discern from it, maybe a void wielder would be better equipped for it.
Can we also just like detect magic this shit and then it'll hey, void magic or horn?
Yeah. You could do detect magic and use an arcana check to try to figure it out.
I totally never looked further into this. We just had like a hunting horn act of God and we were chasing Murray. Like, that's in your inventory now. I'm like, cool. Why?
Hey, look, that happens a lot, all right? That happens a lot.
So who has the detect magic? Because I don't. No one has detect magic in this party.
I thought you had it.
I thought you had it.
I think Ariana used to have it.
Oh yeah, it was Ariana who did it. Fuck!
Fuck!
I can bless it.
Can I cast detect vibes?
What level spell is that?
I made it up.
3rd level at least.
It's level imaginary.
Yup.
I guess I'll use identify. Is there like a short version to this? How much? 10 minutes? How much?
10-minute version.
I can do it quickly.
1 minute. Casting down 1 minute.
Okay.
I mean, if you don't want to spend a spell slot, I probably should.
You said like void. Can I sprinkle void knowledge onto his identify? Like
Yeah, you can analyze his results. That's
Circle
fine.
mental
Telepathic link
blessings.
back as well, so like you can
Exactly.
totally just like be in my brain as I actually just cast it
yeah.
with a spell slot rather than a ritual.
Bless them mentally to be extra smart.
Let's go!
Circle of dank.
Yeah.
I cast Circle of Dank. All right. Garnet, roll an Arcana check for me. And Athalor, roll one for me as well. We'll take the better of the two. And Mason casts
+5.
Circle of Dank to give you plus
Oh,
5.
+5, 21, and 28.
Ooh.
Okay. So, the horn itself is a fairy item. It's associated with fey magic, which can occasionally pop up, especially around elves, dawn elves or otherwise, when they cross planar boundaries. Typical time. This one is associated with the Wild Court. Probably introduced as an effort to manipulate the fairy games in favor of the Wild Court, but didn't actually make it through magical customs until you were in a particularly violent magical area. So they attempted to introduce it a while ago. It was like frozen as they tried to slip it between planes to you. And then while you were in the Silent City with that much bizarre magic going on, it was able to cross over and finally arrive at its destination to you. Somebody hitched it to your aura, essentially. It is not an item of the void, but it has been directly exposed to void magic. Its effect is to induce fear. The call of the horn is meant to be like the hunt is coming for you. It's meant to incite fear. Now that fear is tinged with fear not simply of being run down and the primal instincts of your ancient past, oh, I'm going to get eaten by a wolf. Now it is also the fear of the unknown and the fear of oblivion that is associated with the void. It may harm people's minds if they really beef their save. Not like, severely harm their minds, but, a little bit of mental erosion.
If you want the less risky trade, we go with the horn. But if we're trying to
Yes.
get information out of who the heck this Tykaris person is and what do they know, then the infernal book disguised as a void book would generate a result no matter what.
Controversy.
I think that if we do meet them in person, that gives us a chance to barter. And if they don't recognize your book, then we'll probably get what we need. If they do, then we can offer them the horn instead. You can just argue that that book you picked up, didn't pick up in the Silent City. You haven't been there.
Well, we would just know that it has void vibes, we think.
Yes.
Because we just
We
clearly don't know anything about the subject.
Yes, these are items we found that have been tinged with corruption from the void.
This is Elnao's.
Yes. And we did
Blame it on her.
I don't know if that's going to be the best overall impression for someone who you seem to want to make friends with.
Should I say it's my creepy void horn that I just happened
No,
to have?
I'm just saying that there are creatures of the void that are not necessarily personally connected to us who these could belong to. Like, for example, if I found an apple, it doesn't necessarily belong to one of the three of us. It could be any number of
The
people
fact that it's in
who
our
own them.
possession makes it ours.
I mean, true, but who did we take it from? Hopefully someone who's not really important to the diplomatic overtures we're currently involved in.
I don't think we can get away with, officer, these aren't my drugs, even though it's in my car. Like, like I just don't think that's gonna sit in court.
I don't think that Mordane's going to improve this brainstorming session.
It might with the direction it's going.
Yeah, we need the circle of dank to go around one more pass. Like,
Would you be willing to trade both items depending on how it goes? I mean, apparently Tykaris has multiple disposable items. Maybe we should try to eliminate as much of the corruption
They're in
from
Tasselmore's
Elnao.
vault. Sorry.
so IOTH Academy has creepy items.
That they sealed away.
And that we broke into.
That we opened to destroy the inner evil.
That we still have in our possession and haven't done yet.
I'm a kleptomaniac?
Yeah, that checks out.
I mean, it does.
This is not checking out. I like to blame Elnao. Elnao,
Well,
she's the
It's
target.
it's your tutor-mother relationship that you're endangering, so I will allow you to take the lead on that.
I mean, she has a horn, but it's a faderade. So this is just another horn to her collection. That
Yeah, except this one is a weapon.
it's like an instrument.
Oh.
Anyway,
Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
do not play it. We don't want to get Alex out of the void accidentally. We still don't know if this does that.
I'd love if like you blew on it. It's just like the most upbeat music. it's like walking on sunshine or something when you play it.
There's like a void riff and Alex. But to answer Mace's question, I don't think we should give the horn in case it does summon Alex from the void.
Could we do a thing that's like, okay, you have this many void reducing objects. We can give you this book thing now and also promise to give you X, Y, and Z thing later. But this is kind of a down payment on it. You are in good standing with Brontha, obviously, so maybe something like that could work.
I was planning on this book being plenty.
If it's not, I suppose, just in case.
Yeah, I think Garnet's credit's good here.
It's got void scriptures. It's got magical ink that you can't read. It's mysterious. It's exciting. It's gonna take a lot of time to figure out it's not real.
What do you know about Sphinx?
They meow?
We're fucked here.
We
Magical
are well
entity
and
advantage
truly,
check.
absolutely, unbelievably fucked.
Let's go with the magical creature advantage check. Before we go with we are fucked.
They meow loudly.
They
naked.
don't meow, actually.
Oh,
Liar.
Oh, yeah, give a circle to this one. Just she really needs to know what Sphinxes do.
Okay.
+5.
Sphinx are creatures that guard the treasures of the gods and their secrets. Normally, they lair far away from civilization in distant places, guarding shrines and vaults and things that are holy that should be kept out of the hands of unworthy mortals, testing them with riddles and other trials to see if they are in fact worthy of taking those. They guard magical doorways, artifacts, spells. Creatures that choose to face a Sphinx's test are bound to that test unto death, and only those who are worthy will survive it. Some Sphinxes are high priests of the gods. Others are just sort of there, brought into the mortal world by devout prayer or direct intervention. They don't have to sleep, they don't have to eat. It is really friggin' weird for them to be just chilling in a city.
You reckon the book's gonna work?
well, like I said, they either know that it's not void because it's clearly infernal magic, or they don't know anything and they just accept it. And I'm gonna talk up how mysterious and cool this is. And
I wouldn't say cool. You know this thing that goes against every
okay.
single religious belief you can have? It's pretty dang
cool in the scope of their interest in magical unique items.
You could just say interesting. I think
Yeah,
that would.
interesting.
Okay, guys, if we gotta nitpick the wording here, are we going with the book?
I think we go with the book and barter, yes. It's important that you see how they respond to it, and if it's not enough, we have backup options.
Yeah, like gaslighting him into, oh, so you don't want to root out evil in the world and not help?
Let's see how well gaslighting at Sphinx works.
I'm really good at that. So let's
You
gaslight an
are.
archmage. I can gaslight anyone. All right, just like
If anyone can do it, you can, Garnet.
I've looked at the stat card. They have immunity to gaslighting.
Oh,
It specifically says that under their qualities.
so
Resistant to bullshit, immune to gaslighting.
okay, if we're all ready, nothing else to discuss, I'll go get an arrows.
All right.
We'll, I guess, take a minute to write a bunch of void scripture, just random fucking words, and not even put anything at the cover. Just make it right in all the ink, so it's like hard to get to the void scriptures, but it has void vibes.
Okay.
And
When you write
Yeah.
in the void scripture, does it just like burn it into the page because it removes the paper underneath?
It does, when you put a void scripture on something, most of the time it slowly destroys the item.
I thought you had to like channel it. You have to channel the magic in order for it to...
the actual true language itself, literally just written, is destructive to reality. But if you draw squiggles that are void-esque, you know,
They call it like a crayon drawing from a child.
So, inscribe, as long as the glyph is intact, the object is vulnerable. Oh, and takes damage. So
for
as
the
long as
glyph to remain intact. So the glyph goes away if you stop concentrating on it.
Okay.
So
I was hoping to make it as genuine voidish bullshit. As long as it doesn't disintegrate the book, but if it does, then I'll
try
write.
to find that fine line. I mean, if it does,
Yeah.
you just stop concentrating on it, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to say is either roll a calligraphy tools check if you're proficient.
Yes.
Yeah, give me a calligraphy tools check, please.
With what
Dexterity or intelligence, your choice.
Oh, I did advantage. Take this.
That's fine. We'll take the 16. Okay, you have, when you write it on there, the corners of the book do sort of curl and the paper cracks and it like degrades and the ink dries, but it stabilizes. So it looks more ancient and fucked up.
Oh, cool. Sorry, interesting.
There we go.
There we go. I get it. I'm getting it.
All right,
Yeah,
all
you're
right.
not too excited by it, but it's interesting. It's interesting.
So we'll make sure to wrap the book in like a Walmart bag and stuff, so it looks very like obvious, but obviously something normal. Yo, Athalor,
Did
you
we
got a
figure out how
Walmart bag?
many, do I have a what?
A Walmart bag to put this book in, so transport for. Or are we going in person? I forgot. Oh yeah, in person. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Never mind.
we need to see how they respond to.
Okay,
Yes.
you carry the book.
That makes sense, actually.
Let's have the blessed child with a crazy boyfriend.
You make your way into another section of the palace. This one is full of scribes, record keepers, people coming and going. This is an administrative area where people are recording different, like, oh, we collected this many taxes, we dispensed this much grain to this sector. Back and forth, bean counters, essentially. You're in the finance department. And it's all very elegant and beautiful with high-rising columns and people with scrolls instead of just, but it's a finance department. You're led through this area full of gold embellishments and candles and such, all the way up through an enormous door that seems like it should be a vault door, except that to the sides of it are bars, golden-lined bars instead of a solid wall. On the opposite side, the Sphinx Tycharis is big. He's a lion with wings. I mean, large. Wears a diadem of turquoise and lapis lazuli stones. Eyes are like pools of opalescent light. Not particularly bright and shining, but definitely glowing with that resonance of their own. Beard immaculately trimmed with some sort of like an end cap, again wrapped in lapis lazuli and turquoise. Perfectly groomed and wearing sort of a shawl almost with ceremonial inscriptions upon it, none of which seem to be Zaylarian.
Can we do a history check to see what kind of markings?
Yeah, go ahead.
You got this.
20. Okay. Well, these are associated with the scribes. The scribes don't receive a whole lot of worship. Mostly their adherents are people who are trying to understand the universe, looking for patterns, looking for meaning, divination, alchemy, kind of the inner mystery workings of the cosmos. So not particularly devotion or prayer or faith, but reverence and a dedication to hidden mysteries.
Hello.
Hello.
Ah, good. Tap, tap. Thank you. That will be all. Please. And gestures with a paw and sort of shoves out the scribes who were the normal human scribes, not the massive mechanical world-governing scribes, just like the, secretaries and such. Please sit. There are no chairs. There are some comfy cushions and like a big old, beautiful silk rug with a tapestry. Like it's all woven with beautiful designs of the desert and the pearl moon and the cycle and like the four kingdoms all interlocking with each other. And with a magical gesture, Tycharis the Sphinx moves for the curtains, and suddenly heavy curtains fall across, blocking out the barred walls on either side. And as they do, a hush falls as heavy as a library. Whoosh. Cutting out all sounds from the outside world.
This is beautiful. Thank you for receiving us.
Your department is very impressive.
Their work is extremely important, and I pride myself on their efficiency. How pleased I am to have all of you here. Inaros has been very reticent to discuss any of the specifics, but I would need to be utterly ignorant not to recognize you three. It is my honor to have you. Please, I understand you have need of me.
How much has Inaros filled you in on the details, or High Priest Wallagash?
Wallagash said that my help was sought in the removal of the emptying, hollowing power of the void, which is particularly exotic.
Yeah.
Now, I am not one to pry, but given your association with IOTH Academy, and given the dispensation of your acting archmage, and given the vanishing of about the upper third of Mount Keithior some years ago, I may have an inkling of the patient in mind.
Great.
I thought it was very much like Garnet take the lead on this one. Like, yo, that's your tutor that you want to dob in.
To business then. I see. I understand, of course. Tell me the provenance and nature of what it is you've brought me.
Could we see or get details of what items you seem to have to cure this? Because I've never heard of these before.
That is because you have spent your youth far from the city of your birth, blessed child. These magics are not the province of the arcane. Only the spiritual powers can cure a spiritual ill. It is a second circle spell that only the most pious and faithful of the adherents of the gods can possibly hope to channel. Proper business sense would lead me to go into no further detail. I guess Sphinxes do meow.
They do.
Yeah.
It's like a cotton ball. We will enter business dealings.
Yeah, scritch, scritch, scritch. The red light has returned. Servants, destroy it. Now, a wise businessman would leave it at that, but I know the three of you are persistent and most accomplished. The spell in question is simply known in your parlance as Greater Restoration.
And we know that spell. Like, gnomes, we know that spell, right?
Yeah, you would, with an Arcana check, you know it's a 5th level spell that is almost only on Divine Spellcaster lists. I don't think it's on almost any Arcane Spellcaster lists.
But
So
this
you
is
have
still
to,
like a common spell that any...
you have to be of a certain level, though.
A 5th level? How
So,
experienced is it?
3rd level, you have to be 5th level. 4th level, you have to be 7th level. 5th level, you have to be 9th level.
Ooh, just show me.
So,
No small matter, but each instance will only heal one small crack in the broken vessel. Many repetitions will be required, depending on exactly how much of our anonymous patient has been lost.
that I'm not sure of, but how many do you have in supply?
I am the supply, blessed child. As many as are required. The only limitations are time and the swelling of my trove.
So it would have to be you in physical proximity to the patient.
No.
Okay.
No, that would... I shall arrange what it is you need in the written form, in a more subtle and more easily administered form, depending on the exact nature of the patient's dispensation. And
Does this
provide
require
them
a
to you.
cast or a consumption? What are we talking about? And this needs to be
What?
prepared. You don't have it here?
I have some here, but should this need to take the form, say, of an additive to the patient's food, I can arrange that. If this needs to take the form of a written spell scroll, I can arrange that. At this very moment, I have several means of dispensation. And if your patient is seeking aid, or you are seeking it on their behalf against their better knowledge, I can accommodate that. You need simply select the vector, and we can begin your work today, if needed. Depending, of course, on the properties and provenance of what it is you've brought me.
And how many do you have in supply currently?
The Sphinx merely smiles.
Well, it's important to know the value of what I'm trading, see if it is equal to mine.
I assure you, I will give you a fair and equal trade, no matter how long that takes.
Well, the book that we have,
A book? I love
gestures to
books.
Athalor.
You've heard of our accomplishments, clearly. And you would know that along the way in those accomplishments, a good amount of esoterica will slip into the hands of curious younger people. We would offer you a piece of this esoterica.
How esoteric. Tell me. Everything worth talking about has a story.
Well, it gestures to give the book. This was in Elnao's possession, and we figured it should come from the source of the patient, so you may properly identify what's affecting them.
I see. I see. And do you know anything else of it? Its origins, its author? What is written within?
Well, I haven't had much luck. Flip through the pages, and there's a lot of ink, but through some, well, silly low student detect magic, we've been able to get a sense that there is some void coming from it.
Gimme that deception check, please.
Big money.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about, baby.
A dirty 21 versus a 13.
Nice.
Perhaps it is safest for such things to be left largely unknown. Might I see it? Might I hold it?
Does this feel painful to hold? Like, is the book slowly disintegrating? How many hit points does a book have?
It's not really disintegrating.
It depends on the book. It looks a little crappier than it did the last time, but the void magic is not like destroying it. She just carefully didn't quite dot all of her I's and cross all of her T's when she was writing void scripture on it. So it's not disintegrating. It does feel like your hand's going to be kind of chapped when you're done with it, though.
Gotcha. Athalor holds it out with both hands in ways that he would have seen his father do with diplomatic meetings when, like, giving over, like, a gift of state, and bows his head. The Sphinx does, I don't know, better pour it.
Sphinx sets it down in front of him and then reaches up very carefully into his mane and pulls out a pair of spectacles. And then leans very close to the ground, turning each page with a single delicate claw. Tell me, has the patient, whose anonymity we have now discarded as unnecessary, do you know if she was the author?
Don't think so.
Do you know if she ever modified it? Or
Look?
kept notes in the margins, or anything of that sort?
Well, I don't frequent her office often enough to see her write and things like this. I think she would have hidden it from me if she did.
Yeah, frankly, we don't like, yo, this book we, took. Mind explaining?
Oh, your boy's rolling like absolute ass.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
An intriguing mystery. Corruption within corruption. And he falls silent and just keeps turning pages.
Should be insight check, or is he just reading?
You can insight check if you want. Natural 20.
He's reading.
There's two things going on. One, he finds the book a lot more interesting than you. And
Oh.
two, it's not personal. This is just sort of who he is.
Yeah.
And two, this is a mystery, and he can tell something's up with the book, and he is very, very invested in getting to the bottom of this mystery.
Like mystery, like we haven't told him. Like he's suspicious of us, or just curious about the book.
He's curious about the book. He can tell something's up with it, like it's been altered.
Mason kind of gives a look like, should we distract, not let him suss it all out, express urgency?
Right. Well, we'd love to see the items that you'd like to provide, so we may also inspect that.
Yes, quite prudent. Tell me, will Master Elnao be complicit in her treatment? I assure you, my interest is purely scholarly, to ensure that I am best treating you, my partner in this trade.
It's less about her consenting or not, and rather that the illness, so we call it, may resist and not want to be removed.
Of course, I understand. Then, given that all forms of the application require direct physical contact, whether it be with the individual applying it or with the delivery mechanism, how would you best seek to deliver this treatment?
What do you guys think? Food, scroll, tea?
Do you have any common contact that you take with Master Elnao? A hug, a handshake, a high five?
I was thinking some kind of Bronthan gift would be something she would hopefully accept with open arms. We still have dinner ahead of us, but
Lord Tycharis, is it important that the caster or the item make physical contact with the patient?
Oh, you flatter me, Lord Anandarut, but I have no such title here. Tycharis alone will suffice. Let us say, perhaps, that the treatment is to be administered through ingestion. It could be concocted into a holy filter and consumed by the patient, wittingly or otherwise. Let us say that it is to be applied through a gift, as you say. The sacred enchantment would be laid upon that item to be triggered upon specification of a command word, or simply physical contact. It need not be with the caster, or the caster's proxy.
A physical contact kind of gift seems most likely to work, I think.
yeah. Some gift.
She didn't drink the tea earlier. Is it Tycharis? Is aerosol an option?
I should think not. Well, perhaps. but it would be diluted to the point that I would find that to be more the prospect of Zalar's priests. I imagine they'd use incense in some sort of a ritual to invoke the Titan's power. A mist would most likely not be sufficiently suffused.
And if this were to be a food item or a scroll, and we need to maybe have the person consume as much of it as possible, since we can't really measure accurately the level of
applications.
corruption. And how many applications, how many casts, how much consumption?
It
And what
depends
can we-
entirely on the depth of the corruption, the hollowing of the poor vessel.
And what could conceivably be given to her multiple times?
Well, I do have in my possession multiple phials of a holy elixir to which I have applied this power. 6 ounces each. Every application would be sufficient to bring back a little bit of the person that she once was. There is no limit, of course, to how long it could be repeated, only the rate at which I can deliver.
And
And
how
if-
quickly does the effect happen?
Instantaneously.
She would know right away and may stop consuming it.
Well, if it's a delayed reaction you seek, that is quite arrangeable. But I fear it would take some time. Most of those in need of divine restoration are in a bit of a hurry.
Say, for example, someone only had a little bit of corruption and they consumed whatever this is and they were, for this argument's sake, fully cured, but they still consumed more of it. Would that have any reaction, or would it be a non-factor?
It would cause them no harm. The magic is purely palliative.
Alright. Can't overdose on it.
Gnomes, do we know anything that Elnao likes food-wise?
She's partial to food from the Sky Kingdom. There's these grapes that only grow in like cold storm clouds. They get to be the size of a softball, and they're this pale blue color, and they make a really crisp wine.
Are we able to arrange wine from the Sky Kingdom?
How quickly?
For tonight's dinner?
Well, it's been quite some time since I've spoken to those particular correspondents, but I might be able to arrange for that.
Great. We'll have it as a gift from Brontha, and only she will consume it. I'm sure if others partake, it wouldn't really... It would make them feel good as well, but hopefully most
Athalor
get hurt.
leans into Garnet. The Sphinx will want more additional things given.
Wait, did he imply that? He say he wanted more shit?
No,
I think
Athalor's just
Athalor's
smart.
intuiting it. He didn't say, but
Well,
Athalor's
he
got a
asked.
feeling.
His political bullshit meter has grown more powerful over time.
Yeah, he's like, this guy doesn't have the like loyalty of the marshal or the mother. This guy is quid pro quo.
Well, he hasn't. I guess I'm not gonna prompt anything since he hasn't asked. So will this trade suffice? Are we good for dinner tonight?
Yes, yes. This is an intriguing puzzle that you've given to me. At face value, that alone has its own price. And should this mystery prove even more entertaining, why, the value of this trade will have retroactively increased. And I have not sustained the people of Brontha this long by being two-faced or dishonorable in my dealings. I will procure for you 2 bottles of sky wine from the very mountains of morning this evening, and commensurately 2 of these holy elixirs to be administered through it, in exchange for this delightful mystery you have given me. And if I uncover and find it to be worth more than I have given you, then I will find you and set things right and even the scales.
Well,
Is
that
that
seems difficult for us, considering we need this to be consumed all in one event and not in separate occasions, especially since she's going to find out. So I'd rather us deal with the value of the trade right now.
That is the value of the trade right now. What I have offered you. I simply mean that if it proves to be worth more, then you deserve more, regardless of the circumstances.
It's only a benefit, Garnet, even if it's not paid in void corruption stuff.
And knows how, like, much is 2 elixirs to my knowledge? Is that just 2 points of void corruption?
Mm-hmm.
Am I getting a sense that that's, like, oh my god, this is a super rare thing? Or is it, wow, 2 greater restoration spells? I know someone back at school that can do that shit.
I don't know if you know anybody back at school who can do that shit, because it's divine magic, which is pretty rare.
I don't have any diviners that are
We
above
don't really
level
admit
9.
divine magic as well. It's like mostly arcane magic.
Roll an
we admit.
Arcana check for me, please. Well, shit. Guess what other class list it's on? The one that ruins everything. The Artificer. And you
So you were going to say bards ruin everything? Damn.
it is on the bard list as well. But IOTH Academy doesn't have a huge supply of bards, but it absolutely has high-level artificers. The question is, will the artificers of IOTH Academy be willing to covertly apply this to the headmistress?
And do it in an as effective of a way.
Well,
as
that's
Sphinx.
not. Let's not. That's not what this is about. This is
Yeah,
effectively
yeah,
a
anyways.
common spell, and we just gave a super fucking rare book for 2 greater restorations. I'm feeling like Gnomes, am I off my shit where I feel like this book is way more valuable than 2 level 5 spells?
It's definitely more valuable than 2 level 5 spells. Getting those 2 bottles of sky wine on short notice from the Sky Kingdom, that's harder to put a price on because it's about connections and such.
And we could definitely not do that by ourselves.
Just
Also keep in mind, Tycharis doesn't fully grok this book. Yeah, it's rare, but you scribbled all over the mirror magic, right? So he knows it's mysterious, he knows it's void related, but it could turn out to be a nothing burger as far as he's concerned. In Pawn
How could
Star's
it
terms,
be a
he's
nothing-
taking all the risk.
how could this be a nothing burger?
Because he doesn't fully understand it yet. It's a strange book with ink all over it. Something like that, if it doesn't actually have powerful magic in it, that's something that could just be like a novelty. Just an inky book with some void radiation on it.
So he has no detect magic or any kind of magical detection at all.
He has just taken a look at it in the last few minutes and has been paging through it and trying to read through all the void scribbles that you put on it.
I guess we'll message the party while she's internally arguing with DM about how basically she doesn't think the 2 points of void corruption are going to be enough to change her mind.
Huh?
If she
And
is
if the
as
horn
deep,
still.
yeah, if she is as deep as she is, I'm aiming for like 5 or 6 at
How
least.
quickly could we apply those over the course of a single dinner? Would you want to put one in each glass she consumes?
It's like 30 ounces.
30 ounces.
Is she getting that drunk at dinner? I don't think so.
Yeah. I feel like this is a good starter point. You dilute one in each bottle of wine. The thing is, Garnet, we can't effectively administer that much of this potion in such a short time frame.
At this point, I'd rather just take a scroll, stand in front of her, cast it, and have my counter spell ready for whatever bullshit she wants to throw out, because the sky wine is costing me more than it's really worth.
Perhaps both. Perhaps we try to bargain for a scroll as well, and the scroll won't be as in high demand, so maybe you can get that one thrown on top.
Pay for the sky wine with my gold, and while she's drunk off her ass, cast a spell when she's probably not as resistant. That's probably going to be more successful for me.
And we had to do the next part of this, like, tonight, right? Because, like, we can't come back and do the whole next part of the ritual after we convince her, hopefully.
I don't really have a reason to come back to Brontha.
Apart from, being sacred child and everything.
Well, I don't think she cares about that part. Dinners, and clearly doesn't care about the diplomacy with my mom. So this was for war-related reasons, so... Do we take our chances with just casting it on her? Because I feel like the only thing she could do is counterspell. And I got one too.
Yeah. Likewise.
I mean, if we can get him to throw a scroll in on top, you have her ingest for 2 potions, get rid of some level of the animosity, or at least coldness, and then at least they're likely to understand when you start going a little bit more extreme and casting spells on your tutor.
Yeah.
You don't have to make it sound like that.
I'm making it sound realistic.
It is what it is.
What it is we're getting rid of void corruption from our
We are.
Archmage.
But she doesn't see it that way.
Well, that's
know
the way
that.
it is.
That's why we're doing it discreetly, because we know that she's going to be against it.
I just don't see her consuming more than 1 glass of this wine, and then we have 2 bottles that she has to consume.
Perhaps you try to...
A toast. Multiple times.
For 2 bottles of toasts?
toast to many things, or say that you are trying to repair your relationship with her. You're sorry that you came off as cold. Hear me out. You two have kind of been at each other a lot recently, and say maybe you wanted to go out of your way with this grand gesture, get this nice wine to thank her, and maybe even though she's still muted emotions and all that, she'll logically be like, oh, that's a nice gesture. I should have a lot of this as a sign of appreciation that you went out of your way and did that.
And she won't question the fact the 14-year-old got 2 bottles of wine from a kingdom that's super far away for reasons after I just yelled at her.
Blessed child of this
over tea.
city, you could clearly make your connections, right? That doesn't seem too far-fetched.
Don't even know where the Sky Kingdom is. I'm not
Also,
gonna
when
lie.
it comes to scroll,
You don't
planning
need
on
to.
casting it at
You know
dinner?
people.
Up. It's up.
Where,
My
where,
God.
the, where the lightning came from.
Where'd you get this? Up.
I mean, oh,
Up
Garnet,
part.
it's obvious. She's already noted that we were absent. Obviously, you were out getting this wine.
Exactly.
In 20 minutes, I went to somewhere to get this. Okay,
No, in
well,
20 minutes, you met someone who went to get it for you. You didn't go into the streets alone without an escort.
of course.
Stories line up.
I can't even convince her to be nice to my mom, let alone drink 2 bottles of wine while on a diplomatic mission.
Apparently she would have if you were clear about it, apparently. That seemed to be the kind of sentiment there, but either way, I think this is kind of the best shot. The scroll, okay, first things first, right? We try to bargain for the scroll on top as well?
It should be a last case measure. Yeah.
Yeah, but just to have it.
And when we do get it, when do you plan on using it? Surely we're not going to cast a spell on her at dinner.
Well.
It kind of sounded like that was the plan, was just to ruin dinner. Like that's what I've been listening in on. That's how I've understood it.
After dinner.
Yeah, you want to come back to my room for an after dinner greater restoration?
This is an intervention.
Is this a ritual cast, by the way, or is this like an insta, like open the scroll, boom? And
One action.
6. Okay. Well, how about when we teleport back? She's doing her like, and then I go, greater restoration.
I mean,
Who could it be?
that's a good idea.
I mean, it could be yet another fucked up teleport because she's fucked a lot of those up.
And hey, if it's a fucked up teleport, she'll blame herself and not you. Ideally.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, this is a perfect chance for you to gaslight again.
yeah.
You cast Greater Restoration while she's teleporting. We end up in the wrong place. You fucked up again.
Ah. Yeah, and when we're teleporting and she comes back home feeling so much better, it's that
At least
Brontha
one
feel,
increment
man. It's the
better.
air, it's the light, it's cleansing, you know?
Something in the water, literally.
Something in the water. I mean, the water, yeah.
Mm.
At that moment, Garnet, the voice of Master Elnao pops into your head. Food is ready. Spy report is ready. Looks like a good shot. Come here as soon as possible.
Okay, do we have the... Wait, the dinner is now?
Food is ready. Lunch. It's lunch. It's not dinner.
Oh,
it's
lunch. Got it.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. Sphinx, or sorry, not Sphinx. I don't do that.
You
God.
Sphinx.
Human.
Ew. Takaris, do you have a scroll of this by any chance?
Of course.
In
Would you
addition,
prefer it in addition?
Perhaps, just like you said, if you find out it's more valuable, this could be the cost. But if it's not more valuable, then perhaps we can repay you later at some point as well.
Give me a persuasion check, Mason.
ooh, get it, yeah.
It's
Slay.
Okay, I have inspiration. That was just
go.
given. Thank you. Okay, for that's lucky dice. I have one of those still.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Throw
we're
shit at the wall. Throw shit at the wall.
Hey, we're
Okay.
getting better.
15.
15.
Are you willing to commit to that, son of the Aurochs tribe?
Takes a look at Garnet and Athalor and then back to Tycharis. Yes.
Perhaps a deal
I
on
am.
the... Yes.
We'll see if we need to test that. And as Tycharis reaches into a little box that wasn't there a moment ago and just pulls it to the side, beautiful golden trim along it, like a big figurehead on top, lifts it open, removes from it a beautifully bound scroll and sets it down on the ground in front of you. And then 2 crystal vials marked with the holy symbol of the 4 pillars delicately sets them before you. I hope you enjoy your dinner.
Oh, one last thing. Do I know this person's political affiliation at all, like loyalty towards the Priest King?
Tycharis, roll a history check for me, please. Also, Inaros, who's your inside man, is lurking nearby. Tycharis is not a traitor. He is a Sphinx of his word, but he has no, and he's very good at his job, but he has no personal loyalty. He is entirely neutral on the Priest King and on Brontha, even though he takes excellent care of them. No patriotism, no faith, none of that. This is an arrangement, a mutually beneficial arrangement. And as a creature of the divinities and the gods and such, it would be bad for him. Like, it would look real bad on Tycharis and possibly cause spiritual afflictions if he broke his troth, but it's not out of love or faith at all.
Could I ask Anara just super quickly if what he thinks, or what Tycharis thinks of Priest King / has he proposed me being Priest King at all to this guy? Has he cooed up with these people?
You cooing?
You cooing?
I think there's room for potential here, Garnet. His scales remain untilted, and it's entirely possible to tilt them in your favor.
That's all I want.
Who would be the Anacran god of trade, crafting?
Oh, that would be the twins, Aruk and Feruk. Aruk is the god of, I think they're both offspring of Erekura and Sin. Aruk is the god of beautiful craftsmanship, gold, gems, creating with passion. Feruk is the god of ironsmithing and blacksmithing and metalworking and hard work and dedication.
Athalor would look to Mantra, expecting him to kind of like, I don't know, bless fish trade or bow out of it with like the grace of those gods.
Is that something that Mason would be familiar with?
You'd be more likely. Nah.
Oh, I think I might have misinterpreted who was who.
No, that's fine. It's just that where Mason Mantra is from is a lot more about the dragon gods themselves. The Titans are still important. They still exist. They still govern those things, but he'd be less likely to inflectively call upon the Titans.
Oh, I think I misunderstood two close words, like
All
Oryx
good.
and Auric or something.
Oh, yeah.
They both are from the Latin. They're both, like, aurum is gold, right? Aurum is the Latin word for gold. So they're absolutely ripped from the same place. Is this arrangement agreeable? Very well. As I said, enjoy your dinner. And for all of those who joined us during tonight's episode, enjoy your midnight snack or whatever. Bye now.